Alright, what's going on, folks? Back again. I thought Froch Abraham was next weekend, and Ward and Bika was next weekend. Apparently, it's this weekend, and I almost missed it. Alright, first and foremost, I'm not going to really be doing this vid specifically about Ward and Bika. I'm just dropping the name to mention it. I think Ward's going to win it handily. But it should be much more exciting than the Ward Allen Green fight. Okay, moving on. Carl Froch versus Arthur Abraham. This has been one of the harder fights for me to attempt to predict. Basically, it boils down to, is it going to be Froch by decision or Abraham by KO? And the reason why I think it boils down to that is, if there's going to be a knockout, I think it is far more likely that Froch will get knocked out instead of the other way around. Now, does that mean that I think Froch has no chance at knocking out Arthur Abraham out of him? No, absolutely not. He has power. Abraham can get knocked down. I don't care what anybody says about flash KOs or whatever. I think the knockdown that wasn't called a knockdown when Abraham got hit into the ropes by Dirrell clearly stunned him for a moment. And if you think Dirrell doesn't hit hard, I might argue with you about that, because I think he hits harder than people are giving him credit for. Froch hits harder than that, and Abraham hits even harder than that. And that's why, not because I think Froch's chin is weak or that Abraham's chin can take every single punch ever. It's not that. I just think likely with Abraham's power, he is more likely to get the knockout than Froch, and Froch is certainly more likely to get the decision over Arthur Abraham. What does Abraham have? Well, at a very basic level, Abraham has strength and defense on his side going into this fight. Froch has cunning. He's crafty. He's a lot more crafty than I think people really look at it. I mean, when they look at Froch, they see chin and strength. When I look at Froch, I see unusual angles. I see an up jab that might benefit him, especially in this fight, through Arthur Abraham's sort of arms up shell. I think that up jab can come right through there and kind of break apart that shell a little bit, at least at first. Not to mention, Abraham is notoriously slow starter. He doesn't really start letting go till halfway through the fucking fight, and even then, he's really looking for knockouts. Boxing skill-wise, I've seen Froch be both a forward fighter and a backwards fighter. He can move. Now watch the Kessler fight. It was a good fight, but watch it. Usually you see Carl Froch coming forward, being aggressive, pressing the attack. In this fight, he backed off, fought going backwards, tried to outbox Kessler as Kessler had turned into an aggressive sort, and it worked out well for him. The fight was close. I'm not mad at anybody who thinks Froch won, but I do think Kessler won. I'm sold on it. I've scored it. I don't know how many. I've watched it so many times. It was a good fight. Probably the best fight of the tournament so far. Carl Froch, Mikkel Kessler. Now, Arthur Abraham does not possess the kind of boxing skills that Mikkel Kessler does. I'm sorry, he doesn't. He's defensive. He has a lot of power, but he just doesn't. He fights that way every time, is what I'm saying. His punches come from the same place every time. Does anybody else see what I'm saying here? Carl Froch, on the other hand, fights with his hands down a lot, and that's going to cost him. And the big thing is when Abraham starts letting go of his punches, is Froch going to just survive, hoping that he has rounds in the bank early, which he will? Come on, Abraham gives up those initial first 4 rounds, basically. Is he gonna continue to try and work and at the risk of getting hit more himself? When Abraham does touch Froch, I'm looking for a reaction. I want to see what's going to happen looking to see what's going to happen and if he's going to fall down. I don't think he will. Yes, Froch has been dropped. Froch has been hurt, stunned, whatever you want to call it, in his past. Kessler, Dirrell, Jermaine Taylor, Jean Pascal. So 4 good names. Now Taylor, come on, yeah, I don't know. He's a good fighter, but there's just always something wrong with him. He just can't make the fight. Anyway, I'm not talking about Taylor, but Taylor's not notoriously strong. Dirrell obviously isn't notoriously strong, but I think he's stronger than what people think. Pascal's got some pop, but I wouldn't exactly call him a power fighter either. What I've noticed, Kessler can bang, and he hit Froch with a good one coming in, just a real good straight shot. But Froch has never been deterred by those powerful shots. Even when he's hurt, he's rallied, come together, and ended up winning 3 of those last 4 fights I mentioned. All of them were close. Well, Taylor was beating him, frankly, until the last round when Froch got him knocked out. But that's just another thing about Froch. He's dangerous from round 1 to round 12. Arthur Abraham is not. Not to say that one's more dangerous than the other, because Abraham becomes increasingly dangerous as the fight goes on and on into the 12th round. But for the first 4 or 5 rounds, there's not a whole lot of danger coming from Arthur Abraham. Okay, so what am I picking? I'm picking Froch by decision. I think he's going to outbox Arthur Abraham for most of, if not the entire fight. And then when Arthur Abraham starts letting go and Froch starts getting hit, Arthur Abraham will end up being in a situation where he has to knock Froch out. And I just can't see that as being an easy task to undertake. Abraham competition is stepped up in this tournament, and he made quick work of Taylor. Even if he wouldn't have knocked Taylor out, he was going to win that fight. But Dirrell put on fucking clinic against him. Put on a fucking clinic. And at the end, it's up for debate whether you think Abraham would have knocked Dirrell out. I personally don't think he would have. I think Abraham was making a comeback, but saying that he was definitely going to knock Andre Dirrell out, reaching, I think. Froch can box. He's got some skill for a big dude. And he's got power, and he's got a decent chin. This is seriously going to be a test for them both. I'm not going to be surprised if Abraham knocks Froch out. I'm not going to be surprised. But I am picking Froch by decision simply because at first I was so convinced there was going to be a knockout in this fight, but after looking at Froch's footwork, though not great, there is still some there. And the fact that he can fight forward and backward instead of just forward, I think it gives him the edge. And at the end of the fight, it's going to be, is Froch going to survive? I think he will. And that's basically where I'm coming from. Do I think Froch can survive for 12 rounds? Yes. And in that 12 rounds, who's going to win most of the rounds? I think Froch. So I'm going with Froch. Snaptown born. Deuce.